Welcome to Chasing Dragonflies. Join us as we explore the glorious chaos of chasing life, only to discover the God of the universe is chasing us. I'm your host, Jane Foster, triplet mom and fellow sojourner in the land of motherhood. Hi friends, welcome back. This is part 2 of my conversation with Sue Scheele. Well, I want to shift gears and see, do you have any fun bridal stories to share with us? I mean, all these years of owning a shop, I know you get to be a part of the most special day for so many people, and just a joyous celebration. You get to be behind the scenes on being able to bless them in that, walk through them with that, celebrate that with them. Can you share a sweet moment with that, something you were really just delighted that you got to be a part of? And then, do you have a crazy bride-zillas story that you'd like? No names, anonymous.
Protect the names.
Protect the names.
Yes.
Protect the innocent. In this realm that you've struggled through.
Oh, yes. So there are a lot of great stories because especially getting to do what I love to do now, I feel like lately it's been just, it's been really awesome. The thing that stands out the most to me was a bride named Brittany that I didn't actually help her choose her dress. One of my teammates did. I never met her or her mom until she got to alterations. And she was one of our brides from the Fort Worth store. And my teammates were saying, hey, you've got this appointment, and you're stacked in the day, and you're just doing fitting after fitting. You've got this one appointment at 2 o'clock, and it's a bride named Brittany, and she's doing brain cancer treatment. So she may need to move her appointment a little bit. We're just basing it on how her day is going and how she takes the treatment. It's just case by case. But, yeah, I just want you to know that she's going through this. And so if you're touching her or anything, or you notice something about her, you just have that awareness. So I'm thinking, okay, well, wow, that's significant. Mm-hmm. So I meet this young lady, and she is this athletic, vibrant woman that just you would never know from looking at her, speaking to her. She was just as beautiful on the outside as she was on the inside, and was just so strong and just so graceful about this whole thing. If there was an elegant way of going through brain cancer, she had figured that out. So I'm helping her with her alterations. She had a lot of fluctuations. So I worked with her a lot because the treatments would make her gain and lose. Mm-hmm. Well, her day came, and her mom sent me pictures of her day. And then I did stay in touch with her mom, Robin. 6 months later, she reached out to me to say, Sue, Brittany has passed away. And things took a really sharp turn. And I am just shocked. And so I kind of held back, and I thought, no, go ahead and share this. So I shared with her mother that I was going through cancer treatment myself. And all I could think about as I was diagnosed with cancer was, do it like Brittany did it. A total stranger helped me when I was in those dark moments of cancer treatment of like, I'm going to die. Oh, now they want me to write this will. And now I'm having to do this whole, thing. And I got diagnosed in postpartum with my youngest, and she was 9 months old. I was still breastfeeding. I'm being diagnosed with cancer, had to stop breastfeeding. And I'm like, what is happening? But the whole time I thought of a few women, and she was one of them, of my most recent interaction of somebody who had so much faith at such a young age and held her head high. Mm-hmm. So I shared this with her mother, even though I didn't know if the timing was appropriate, because here she is sharing with me that this news. And so I decided, well, I'm going to tell you what your daughter did for me. Mm-hmm. So I tell her this story, and she stopped and said, Sue, I would like for you to come and share that exact story at her funeral.
Wow.
And I'm like, no. But she said, that's it. Just that story of how a stranger can impact another. Would you do that at her funeral? So, of course, I said yes immediately. Anything for you, Robin. So I show up to this funeral thinking, okay, they must have needed a warm body. She probably just didn't know a lot of people. So here I am doing this thing. Because I really, those were my interactions, so brief. So I get there, and they take me back to the family's room. It's just Zach and we go back, and there's tons of family in the family area. So I'm thinking, okay, well, this must be everyone, but we're in the back, and then we go out for the actual funeral service, and they did not need a warm body from me. This room, she was packed, and I learned so much about Brittany being at her funeral, and I just thought, why me? But through this, she shared that she wanted everyone to hear how a stranger could impact another stranger in such a powerful way. And so I get up there to speak at the altar, and this huge wave of sadness, like a cloud, hits me immediately. I'd never done this before, and I didn't even speak at my dad's funeral. And so I couldn't even speak. I just felt like just unbelievable pressure pushing on me. And I finally collected myself and shared the story I said on the phone to Robin, like I was asked to do. And there were all these young people out in the pews. She went to A&M, and so she had so much connection, and she was a pediatric nurse at Cook Children's and just knew so many young people. And I just felt so honored that she would ask me, to be there and do that. So I will never forget that. But the worst part of this story is that her mother, within the same year, also passed away from brain cancer. So Robin came to work for me after this whole, after the funeral, she came to work for us. She said, planning my daughter's wedding was one of the happiest times of my life. You don't have to pay me. And of course, we're like, of course we're going to pay you. But she didn't realize she was going to fit right in with her, with the other friends that she was going to make there. But she was just like, I just need something happy in my life. These were the best years with my daughter. Or the best time, excuse me. Can I be in the bridal shop, and just being in the atmosphere would be so therapeutic. And I loved working with her. And then she started getting sick. And then isn't that amazing? I don't know how to even explain that, but it wasn't the same brain cancer, but it was a similar type of brain cancer. And within a year, we were at Robin's funeral. So just unbelievable strength from that family. They were so gracious through all of that. And I don't know how people even function in that way, but that just shows how strong their faith is to God. But yeah, not only did that whole experience happen with Brittany, but then you have that second layer with the mom. And then that ties into the whole bride-zilla story is, you always hear these stories and you see on TV about bride-zilla. Well, it's actually the moms that
The moms are the zillas.
The moms are really tough, especially if mom has been through it and she's maybe needs some therapy. Maybe needs to regulate that nervous system a little bit. But if she's easily triggered into mama bear, boy, that's what you really have to watch out for. And thankfully now I've learned from the hard way of doing it the wrong way in the beginning and triggering more of that, just not understanding. Now I know that, how to de-escalate and just really help people and very, like, for them it's crisis, and just understanding that and helping them to just walk through that. I don't see this as much now, but back when I didn't have that ability, I did. I had a lot of very high conflict situations, and they were never with the brides. It was always the mom. And so, now it's very simple. Like if someone maybe just wanted a refund and they didn't get their refund, so they're going to maybe go to their bank and do a chargeback. That's about as bridezilla as I see now, or as momzilla as I see. But back then, you would have moms literally right in front of me, just chewing me up one side and down the other.
You've been called all sorts of names by mothers of brides.
Yes, I had one mom that had her phone right here in my face as she was, verbally just going at it. And I'm thinking, wow, my military upbringing is really coming in handy right now.
I've heard some of these words before, and I'm thankful. I'm not shocked by them. So.
I'm definitely right at home. Just keep on yelling.
You got it.
Just kidding.
You got it.
But yeah, I do that one. I don't even remember her name, but there was a bride who was very sweet. Mm-hmm. Mom had her phone in front of me, and was wanting to get this answer from me that never came. I just stood my ground, and I thought, well, you know what? If you were sweet as honey, you'd be getting that refund right now. But you've got your phone here, and you're a drill sergeant, so I'm just gonna stay quiet.
You're just gonna dig in. Would you share, because I know this is a God story, in your diagnosis, in that pressing that you felt to ask questions and dig for more, and why you didn't feel right, in just the miracle of your diagnosis and then your early treatment with a newborn that you're still nursing and you're still postpartum?
Oh, man. So with your second, you feel like you're an expert. You should know how your body is going to respond and what the process will be. But with my second, it was nothing like the first. And everyone kept saying, oh, you're postpartum, you're fine, everything's good. And this is going to sound very superficial, but it is the reality. I felt like I couldn't lose the weight. And I felt like my brain kept going back to the gestational diabetes test. So with my first, passed through that test, no problem. With my second, I had to do the long test, and I barely passed that. So my doctor was like, hey, you passed, but you should be aware that, you want to watch out for these foods that you eat and just be careful. So that just was like trauma in the back of my mind or something. So as I was postpartum, I was thinking, okay, why am I struggling so much with this and that? I'm doing all the same things, but I just couldn't. It's like I felt swollen all the time. I just felt so gross all the time. I could never really move past that. And there I was 8 months, and I felt like, what's happening? So everyone reassures you that, well, it's your second, they're not the same. And you're thinking, okay, well, I'm crazy. Well, finally, I'd had enough. And I Googled all the diagnosis on Dr. Google. And I had diagnosed myself with diabetes. I was thinking, I just need somebody to check my blood work and see, do I have diabetes? Because I just felt like a spike, and it was probably all in my head. But I felt that
you knew something was
wrong, and I just needed somebody to tell me that I didn't have diabetes. I literally went into my OB and said, I just need you to do some blood work and just tell me I don't have diabetes, because if I do, I don't want to be eating like normal. I want to just get this feeling out of my head and out the swelling. So she's like, you know what, let's just grab a pap while you're here. It's 8 months, so I'll be seeing you in 4 months anyway, so we'll just grab it while you're here and do the blood work. So then I get this phone call, and they're like, well, great news, you don't have diabetes, but bad news, I need to see you tomorrow because you have an abnormal pap. And I just was like, a million questions, like, well, what do you mean? What does that mean? Nothing, just can you come in tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, great. She was like, clear your schedule. Bring your husband.
Never going to be a good
visit.
When they prioritize you that way.
Yes. And so I go in like the next day. They do all these tests, and she, with both of us in the room, says, I just lost a mom to this this cancer that you have, and I really need you to listen to me. And I know this is a busy time of your life, but you need to clear your schedule. My husband's in healthcare, so he was like, 100% just, you go ahead and check out mentally. I'll just take it from here, and went with every appointment. And I felt like I was so overwhelmed with everything, but I did, they just had me go through the speed zone and did a hysterectomy, and that took care of the uterine cancer that I had. Thank God. I still go back and I'm like, did I actually have cancer? Because they caught it so early. My doctor just happened to have a recent experience with a patient that they didn't move along quick enough and lost the patient. And she was young, similar case as mine. And so thank you, Lord. I feel like the treatment couldn't have been any easier. So I feel very grateful, and I can only imagine. But it was just, it really, anybody that has a cancer story or a family member, they know that you just feel like you're planning your funeral the entire time you're going through it. It just messes with you in a different way, whether it's a really strong, diagnosis or whatever stage you're in. So I feel so fortunate. And that was my, discovery of it. I still can't figure out, other than the diabetes, that's what I was going for. That's, that test and the swelling. That's tough.
But you had the burden that something was not right. Even if you and Google had it wrong, you had the burden in your heart that something's not right. Something's not right.
Yes.
I'm not bouncing back. I need help to figure out what's going on here.
Well, and there's some of us that just, I don't know if I always joked that being an entrepreneur, you can't be a sickly person because you have to show up to do the thing that no one else can really do if it's something that you only do. So I always joked that, I'm never a sickly person because I'm an entrepreneur.
I'm not allowed to be sick.
I'm not allowed.
Yes.
And so I just wasn't a person that went to the doctor unless I needed them to nip this in the bud. So I really felt like that. I was like, I need you to nip this in the bud for me because I'm losing sleep and I'm an entrepreneur. I can't be like this. And I went in thinking they were going to tell me one thing, and it was like left field.
Completely different. What was that like walking through that with young kids? A 9-month-old, and would Henry have been 3? Older 2,
Yes.
3 at that point, and thinking, God, what if I don't make it? And then what is my legacy with these kids?
Yes. Oh, it was awful. I remember getting to Ava's first birthday and just thinking, just get to her first birthday. And then when I got to her first birthday, I felt like the party was for me.
And it was.
Forget the birthday.
It was.
I made it.
Yes.
I can't even tell you, going through that, it was a fog. And I do feel like a coping mechanism that I had was to just black out as much as I could because I was still trying to just get the groove of having 2 under 2. I had them close together, and they were just a lot. We didn't have family in the immediate area, but we did have a lot of family that helped us during that time, but they still had to go back home. And, parents and grandparents and stuff. We had my neighbor. Oh my goodness, we had lots of support, but then again, we just felt like, what are we doing? We, day to day, it felt overwhelming. Like we didn't have support, but then we big picture, we had so much support. So I feel like I blacked a lot of it out, and it must be normal because I talked to a lot of people that like, yeah, during that time, I felt like I was dying. I was planning my funeral. I was so overwhelmed, and it was just like, they helped me so much to not be sad and afraid because there they were just playing with their Bluey and Bingo toys, and we're watching lots of Paw Patrol. So it's really hard to start crying when you're playing with your happy kids. So they saved me, if anything. I probably leaned on them and the things that they wanted to do for just the healing that I needed to reframe my mind and really be strong. But I was a mess, an absolute mess. So once I got past it, I got to that first birthday. I remember after the birthday, I even had friends that were like, oh, Sue, they had no idea because I didn't want to share it, which is strange to some people, but I didn't want to talk about it at work. And that's like my identity. And I didn't want to talk about it at work because I didn't want my kids to be seeing me crying all the time. So I learned that there were a few select people that had been through cancer or that were just part of our core support.
Your safe people that you could really open up to.
But I really didn't tell people until I knew what was really going on. Any person I told, I felt like I might as well have just, boom, right in the forehead, punched them out, lights out. They were, every single time, it was immediate, just, the same reaction. It was awful. So I didn't like that. So I never shared it with brides or customers. I didn't even tell my team until I knew this is what I need to have done. This is my treatment, and this is my next step. So I waited till I had answers and I knew what my plans were going to be. And I was almost into my plans before I could really tell people, because I'm just in a happy environment. I felt like I needed an escape from it. And I had young kids that didn't need to see me depressed and crying, telling people. And you really feel like you almost need to reassure people, because you really rip the rug under them when you tell them something like that. And they have a million questions. Well, what about the babies? And do you need this? And what about that? And yes, that is all great, but it comes with other things that you think, okay, let's think through this. And for me, with all of what I'm saying, it worked best to just lean on God, lean on that support system, have an escape at work where I could just go and not think about what was really happening in my mind. And it worked for me.
You didn't need to be managing other people's emotions along the way as you're sharing their story, and then you're having to carry their response as well and unpack that with them.
Yes.
What can we do as a community around young moms or old moms that are struggling with a health challenge, whether it's cancer, whether it's something else that they can't fix? Because you're in that process of just asking God and going through the process of surgeries or treatments, but it's not something that you can just check the box and say, okay, I fixed it. I studied for the test. I got the good grade.
Oh, yes.
That's over. You're in that desert of asking and waiting and just praying and hoping.
Yes.
But what can we do for people in that same scenario, regardless of how serious the diagnosis is, it's a burden, and then you've got kids that you're responsible for as well. What would have been a good help to you?
Well, I think you really just ask, like on a singular level, asking the person, what is it that that's going to serve you best? Because I have a lot of friends that were very open and public. I mean, went to social media even and had a platform based on their whole journey. And I thought that was amazing that they could do it that way, but that wasn't me. And there was no wrong. That's just how they needed to heal. And then I needed to do this based on all of my factors. So I think first just figuring out, how do you see this playing out? And then giving them space to change their mind. Maybe if I went through the first parts of it and decided, okay, I do want to share openly, then I could. So that would be step one. And then, it's hard to give an answer to something like that, because you think, well, I'm one person and what can I do on a small level? But then you really need like a team to really capture all of these personalities and the stages that you go through. So I think my answer would be volunteer at an organization that maybe does that. So I'm thinking of my church. So one thing that my church does that I think is pretty cool is they have all these they're large enough that they can have all these groups. So they have these communities, but they label them. So it's like anyone that's ever lost a loved one and has to go through all the funeral planning and the grieving, but then you have all the business that you have to take care of after that, like the estate and all the everything, all the business that no one talks about and that no one really knows what to do, but they have different groups that help you with that. And there are churches and I'm sure non-church organizations that give you like, okay, this is for someone who's going through it, maybe with young kids, almost like a nursery. It's like 0 to 3-year-olds over here.
This is what this phase needs. This is the support and love they need.
And then as a singular person, just volunteering with those types of groups, if you're passionate about it, just going and being there, and then they'll use you. Maybe your gift is, I'm a really good baker. I make awesome pies, and they get eaten within 24 hours. So I'll just show up, and that's my gift to this community is I bake a pie, and that's pretty awesome because I hate baking pies. And I think that would be awesome if we feel that calling and want to join in and then churches or organizations that break it down. So our church does they have grieving groups, they have celebrating recovery where they're doing like sobriety or like any type of addiction. It doesn't have to be with drugs or alcohol. And then, it'd be awesome. They do have different cancer and just all sorts of groups, you know. So treat it like a nursery. Break it down into ages and stages, and then bring your pie.
So I hear you saying honor the person in front of you, whether they need to talk about it a lot or need to talk about it a little, to walk with them where they are, and then to bring what you've got. If it's a pie, if it's a hammer, whatever that is, to show up with what you got. Show up and give the gift that you have.
Yes. Yes.
Sue, thank you so much for just blessing us with your time, your story, your talent today. Tell people how to find you. If everybody knows a bride, everybody has a bride in their life that they're connected with in some way, or will know a bride in their life, probably sometime in the next year. Holiday times are coming up, and I know a lot of people get engaged over that time period. Tell us how to find you.
Well, I'm in Fort Worth, Texas, and we have a lot of brides that travel. I'm at avasbridalcouture.com, and all my social handles are my website address as well. So I spend a lot of time on TikTok and YouTube, because that's where my generation is, but I really enjoy Instagram the most myself, and then it posts over to my Facebook story automatically. So anyone that's looking for what I'm offering now, which I've done it all, but now it's a real one-to-one personalized experience. And that's not for everyone, but for those brides that are like, yes, I want to bring 10 people or one person and have this special experience. That's what we do, is just more personalized service. And so we do these parties. We call them VIP appointments, but it's really like charcuterie and mimosas or non-alcoholic, and we just turn it into a party and make it more of the experience. And we find the dress, and then we have the in-house alterations, of course. But I really love doing the remakes of the mother's dresses too. So if you know anyone that has a vintage dress from a grandmother or mother, we will turn that thing into the cutest little. Yes, I love doing all of that.
Yes.
So those are the folks that need to come see me.
Thanks for being such a blessing to the world.
Thank you.
All right, Chasing Dragonflies signing off. See you next time. Thank you for joining us, friends.